The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your host, Jason Beck, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Yes. Good morning, everybody. It is Friday, October 31st, you guys. And today is National Doorbell Day. That's interesting. National Doorbell Day.
Wasn't on it. Sorry, dude. My camera wasn't on. I'm totally distracted. National Doorbell Day. Ding dong. Of course it is, because it's Halloween and more doorbells are going to get rang today than ever in history.
Oh, I thought doorbells only got rang in boxing matches, Jesse.
Yeah, I'll bring your doorbell.
It's also National Frankenstein Day.
Oh, go figure, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I never realized.
I'm starting to believe that this National Day thing that wherever you're pulling from is fake news.
And none of it is fake news. It's a whole website dedicated to what the days
I
days
believe
are.
It's a website. I believe that.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you're trying to do there, Jesse. You're trying to diminish the credibility. You're trying to like equate my daily calendar to like Wikipedia or something.
Kinda, yeah, exactly. I think you might be pulling this from Wikipedia, actually.
Oh man, it's also National Breadstick Day today, you guys.
That's interesting. Breadsticks.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the Olive Garden, I guess, definitely needs a day. You know what I'm saying? Apparently, you know what I mean.
They do need a day.
It's not Italian food.
That's right.
It's not.
No.
I don't know.
Any more than the Chinese food that you get at a Chinese restaurant's actual Chinese food.
Yeah, exactly. Is McDonald's American food, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I know a lot of Americans that would say yes, McDonald's is American food.
Yeah, I mean, you wandered off there, Dr. Mark. That is probably true. McDonald's is actually American food.
Yeah.
Oh man, if that's the case, we're all in trouble.
If you think about it, the only thing that they don't sell that is American is Glizzies, because they do sell apple pie.
There you go.
Yeah, just just saying. It's also Girl Scout Founders Day today.
Is that a good organization?
I know their cookies aren't good for you.
They're terrible.
Yeah.
They're worse than McDonald's.
They're really good though. They are tasty, and
Yeah, I love good Samoa.
I do like the fact that it does bring in the entrepreneurial spirit. You know what I mean? And so
that's true.
Yeah. So
I was gonna say the best thing about Girl Scout cookies is the Girl Scout, right?
Yes.
Sure. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Shout out to all the Girl Scouts out there. It's also National Magic Day.
Definitely.
I wonder if this next one is because it's National Doorbell Day, but it's also National Knock Knock Joke Day.
Oh.
You see what I did there?
Yeah.
Instead of ringing the bell, you're knock knocking.
What's your best knock knock joke, Jason?
I don't know. I did see a great joke though the other day. I thought it was pretty funny. I'm not sure if you ever realized this, but when you clean out the vacuum cleaner, you become the vacuum cleaner.
Yes, I know this to be true.
Yeah. Dr. Mark looks puzzled with this one.
That's meta.
Yeah. Do you know that, Dr. Mark? That when you clean out the vacuum cleaner, you become the vacuum cleaner? What's that?
Just switch from suck to blow. That's all, right?
Hey, however you want to, what I'm saying, you want to identify on that one, Dr. Mark. I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. It's also National Caramel Apple Day. I love a good caramel apple.
Oh,
yeah.
That's one of my favorite. Who doesn't like those?
Oh, man. I think you're probably un-American if you don't like a caramel apple.
I hear someone right now like, it sticks to my teeth.
Those are candy apples, right?
Oh, yeah. Caramel coated apple.
Caramel
Let's
covered.
go.
You know where they have the best ones at the Staples Center? When you're in the boxes at the Staples Center, they come around in the car and they have them, and they're already all pre-sliced. So it's like a lot less mess. It's not like you're like taking a bite out of a caramel apple. You know what I mean? Like they're all pre-sliced. Oh, it's so great. Oh, those are so good. So good.
So caramel apples are different than candy apples, right? Because candy apples
is like a hard candy glaze, like a Jolly Rancher apple.
Yeah, not okay with that.
Yeah.
Not okay.
Very, very
By
different.
the way, just so you know, if the caramel sticks to your teeth, it's not good caramel. Good caramel does not stick to your teeth. It melts in your mouth. Just so you know. Little chef tip for you.
Not in your hand. Oh, man. And, of course, you guys, today it's Halloween.
Yeah.
Happy Halloween, everybody. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you guys all brush your teeth before you go to bed tonight and wash all those, get all that cavity creation out of your mouth. You know what I mean? Before you go to sleep. But nonetheless, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above and down below to see exactly where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook, Kick, as well as on our very own website at www.highat9news.com. So welcome to everyone joining us from any one of those platforms. And doctors, I'm so glad that you're here today because I have some medical stories for you guys today. 2 medical stories and one. Oh, you'll see. Because Cannabidivarin, better known as CBDV, may enhance immune response against cancer by targeting suppressor cells, a study finds. That's right. A new study published in Biomed Pharmacotherapy finds that Cannabidivarin, CBDV, a non-psychoactive cannabinoid, may have significant potential as an immunotherapy agent for cancer. That's right. Researchers at the Technion Israel Institute of Technology found that CBDV directly reprograms myeloid suppressor cells, which are key drivers of immunosuppression in the tumor microenvironment. These cells, including mycelioid-derived suppressor cells, better known as MDSCs, and tumor-associated macrophages, better known as TAMs, are linked to poor patient outcomes and resistance to treatment. The study showed that CBDV reduced immunosuppressive markers such as inducible nitric oxide synthesized, better known as lowercase I, NOS, and arginase-1, better known as ARG-1, in MDSCs, while shifting TAMs into a more pro-inflammatory M1-like state. This reprogramming restored CD8 plus T cell proliferation and activation, helping to reinvigorate the immune system's ability to fight tumors. In tumor-bearing mice, CBDV treatment led to reduced tumor progression and an improved anti-tumor immune response. The findings were also validated in human-derived myeloid cells, confirming the cannabinoid's clinical relevance. According to the researchers, the results established that CBDV as a promising immunotherapeutic option capable of neutralizing the suppressive effects of myeloid cells and enhancing cancer immunotherapy outcomes, you guys. Look at that. Some great news at the top of the day, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this. Doctors, I think I did pretty good with those words, but I want to hear what you guys have to say.
You did.
Not
just call it CBDV, right?
Yep.
CBDV with it's the varin analog of CBD, right?
Amazing. Dr. T, what do you think?
Yeah, like arginase, you had a little bit of trouble with.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're not keeping
it's
track, are we,
it's
Todd?
macrophages as well. Macrophages.
Yes.
Macrophagy. All right. Okay. All right.
Phages. It's okay. It's okay. You did pretty good.
All right.
Not surprising. This is not surprising news. I mean, the endocannabinoid system is everything and everywhere. Let's just call it what it is. And so it's not surprising that a cannabinoid is affecting the immune system. We already know that cannabinoids like CBD and THC directly affect apoptosis, which is the killing of cancer cells.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're glad to have CBDV in along with the others that are proving to be anti-cancer as another potential tool. I'm wondering if they're looking at the mechanism of action and potentially going to come up with a pharmaceutical drug to target this mechanism of action. That's pretty much what they're. So this is pharma.
Yeah. This is isolated CBDV.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know like how CBD compares with CBDV, right, Sean? Because what we know on the THC side is just changing that carbon tail by 2 carbons and going from THC, which is a partial agonist, you turn it into an inverse antagonist. So, John, I mean, are there products? So, if you were to take this result and make recommendations to patients, like, are there CBDV products that you know about that you would how to recommend for this kind of application?
Well, I don't really like to recommend one chemical because really what brought us to this level is the whole plant. And so I may recommend products that have multiple chemicals. There are products out there. The plant will naturally grow a type 2, which is a 1-to-1 ratio of THC to CBD, and then there's a type 2V, which has the 1-to-1 ratio of THCV to CBDV. So if you want to use the plant, you can grow that type. I know Emerald Spirit Botanicals has a variety of that type that they offer. Or you can just, hunt for the alphabet soup. Look for products. Any manufacturer can dial in any product. You can order each cannabinoid individually and put it together to make whatever formula you want.
You would think in this case that the THCV or THC would potentially synergize with the activity of the CBDV, like in an entourage effect kind of way?
I don't know. That's the big question. But, definitely see, I don't know what the magic formula is, and it may change from person to person. So there's some level of trial and error that needs to go into this. Kind of difficult to do when you have a rapidly growing tumor. But you do know that THC helps, CBD helps, CBDV now helps. And so, either throw them all into the chicken soup or try them one at a time, whatever works for you.
I mean, I'm just recalling the work of like Manuel Guzman and those folks who basically show that THC is kind of like the most active cannabinoid in inhibiting certain mechanisms in cancer, including angiogenesis. And so angiogenesis is the tumor's ability to sprout new blood vessels to feed the tumor with blood. And if you can intervene in that process, you kind of starve the tumor. We also know that cannabinoids, in particular THC, promote apoptosis, right, Dr. T? So, yeah. So, what did you think? Again, it's a Jean-Luc fire all weapons moment. put as many things into that chicken soup that can probably help, and maybe the THC works by a different mechanism. Maybe THCA and the acids will work by a completely different mechanism because the acids have different pharmacology than the decarboxylated compound, right?
Right. I do recall early evidence specifically for breast cancer, hormone receptor positive breast cancers, that CBD seemed to be better at stopping the spread, angiogenesis of the tumor over THC. So there may be some cannabinoids that are better for your tumor than others, and that just requires contacting a cannabis specialist and going through the studies to figure out what works for you.
Amen.
That was a little plug, by the way.
Mm-hmm. I caught that. I caught that right there.
You did.
I did. I caught that right there. Jesse, any thoughts on this before we move on?
Every time one of these studies comes up, I mean, first of all, it's awesome to see this repeated over and over, that these cannabinoids are so effective against cancer. But I constantly wonder what kind of science there is on whole plant, and if there's even any intention to study individual cannabinoids versus whole plant and a wide variety. And I bring up all the time, like, juicing it raw and getting the acid forms and then getting the decarboxylated forms in your diet. Has anybody studied that? And I don't know that anybody has. Like, that's a question for Dr. T. Do you know of anybody who's been really doing entourage effect studies, like, in a real way, especially involving the raw forms and the acid forms and decarboxylated together? Or is this an opportunity for science to explore?
This is a huge opportunity for science. Cannabis is bringing a major paradigm shift to studying, and the current paradigm's intertwined into the economics of this also. It's easy to patent a synthetic single agent and claim it as your own, and then make millions, maybe sometimes billions of dollars off of that pharmaceutical. When you're talking about variable, multi-agent active ingredients, it's kind of like a game of whack-a-mole. It's hard to grab one for yourself. And so in some ways, the economics, the current system, doesn't work for that. It's really bringing a paradigm shift in medicine. It's bringing how we value medicine. When you can grow it in your backyard and this company is trying to sell you Epidiolex for $30,000 a year, and you can grow it in your backyard, it's not the same, but it may be more effective than Epidiolex. But you have to deal with the variability. And when you have seizures, that's sometimes difficult. So it really depends on what your condition is and what you're targeting.
Well, I personally want to see these studies. I want to see scientists get fired up about the possibilities. I love that you're speaking about multi-agent. I do think there's a problem there, right? The incentive structure is for single agent compounds, and incentivizing, I hate to say this almost, but incentivizing pharma to figure out how to make money from multi-agent compounds. And I also don't really like plant patents or compound patents from plants, but I do understand that incentivizes the companies to move forward, and it gets money behind things, and that's a lot of what gets research done. So
yeah, I'd rather the money come from the cannabis industry than pharma. But the cannabis industry's got a lot of maturing to do to even realize this is something to do.
Exactly. You're exactly right. And on that, while the cannabis industry matures, we're going to go to a commercial break, and we're going to be right back. Oh, and we are back. And man, I have some more good news, especially for you doctors out there. Because there was another study. That's right. People have been opening up the books and been studying a lot apparently lately. Because inhaled cannabis provides long-term pain relief and reduces opioid use in diabetic neuropathy patients, you guys. How about that? A new study published in the Journal of Biomedicines has found that inhaled, that means when you smoke it, cannabis can provide lasting benefits for patients suffering from painful diabetic neuropathy, better known as DN, a common complication of diabetics that affects up to half of long-term patients, you guys. The 5-year-old observational study followed 52 patients who had failed to respond to at least 3 conventional pain treatments, including opioids, gabapentin, and duloxetine. After a 1-month washout period, patients began inhaling medical-grade cannabis containing 20% THC or less than 1% CBD. Assessments included pain scales, neuropic symptom scores, blood sugar control, and medication use. By the end of the study, pain severity scores dropped from an average of 9.0 to a 2.0, and while pain interference scores fell from 7.5 to 2.2. Neuropathic symptom scores also improved, and patients reported sustained pain relief. Importantly, cannabis therapy was linked to better blood sugar control, with the average HbA1c levels decreasing from 9.77% to 7.79%. One of the most significant findings was a sharp reduction in the use of other medications. Patients lowered their morphine equivalent opioid doses by over 90%, while gabapentin and duloxetine and pregabalin use dropped by more than 75%. Researchers noted that cannabis dosage correlated strongly with both pain relief and reduced opioid relief, and no serious adverse events occurred during the study. Well, surprise, surprise. Mid-size effects such as dry mouth and euphoria were reported in about 15% of participants, mostly during those adjustments. But researchers concluded the study by stating, inhaled cannabis add-on therapy mitigated symptoms of diabetic neuropathy over the course of a 5-year observation period. Some reduction in glycosylated hemoglobin is observed, as well as major reduction in the need for other prescription medications, including opiates and opioids. It is possible to state the following. 1. Inhaled cannabis significantly reduced pain and neuropathic symptoms over 5 years, and it decreased opioid use, supporting an opioid sparing effect. And 3, HbA1c improvements suggest a metabolic benefit, though causality is unproven. Causality is unproven. And no serious adverse events occurred, with mild effects in 15.4% of patients. And finally, 5, RCTs are needed to confirm efficacy and addresses accessibility barriers. Integration of objective pain assessment tools, such as salivary biomarker devices, could enhance the precision and reproducibility of cannabis therapy outcomes in DN, you guys. Well, look at this. 2 good stories, back-to-back good stories. And this is all about inhaled cannabis, so you know it's whole plant medicine, Dr. T. I can't wait to hear what you got to say about this.
I'm loving it, one after the other.
Yeah.
I'm curious who sponsored this study.
Well, it was definitely someone worth benefiting from, because it says that they were consuming THC with 20%, with 1% less or CBD. So you know what I mean. It was someone that was actually smoking weed.
Was it in the UK or Australia?
It does not. It doesn't
those
say.
Those guys are doing much more.
It did say, but let me go to the website and let me see if I can find any more on this for you, Dr. T. Give me just 1 minute. And
yeah, but it's nothing new to my patients. for 2 decades, I've been hearing this, and for thousands of years, I would tell somebody with diabetic neuropathy to also consider a CBD salve. If you're getting sort of those painful tingling effects or painful ends, because that will affect the trip receptors at the end of your nerves, and may help with that pain symptom too. But yeah.
Okay, so it looked like this study also came out of Israel. It says the Department of Orthopedics, Hasharon Hospital, Pita Tikwa, 4937211. Israel Gray School of Medicine, Tel Aviv University, and Israel Hasharon Hospital Management at Cult Health Services, and Rabin Medical Center and Tel Aviv University. So that's what it looks like.
Yeah. Can you imagine that, fighting a war and producing cannabis research at the same time?
A lot of things getting smoked out there, Dr. T.
There's a lot going on. Although the poor Palestinians are all starving, so they no longer have type 2 diabetes. They are just looking for food in general.
Oh,
right.
man.
You gotta report both sides.
Oh, man. Interesting. What do you think about this, Dr. Mark?
I don't know.
This is smokable cannabis, bro, in a study that shows good news.
Yeah, but we've talked about this issue on High at 9. Smoking, while being an effective way of getting cannabinoids into your body, is probably not the preferred choice, right, Dr. T?
It's my preferred choice.
Well, there's negative and positive effects associated with it, but its correlation is not causation, so we don't know if it's bad. The mainstream doctor groups have concerns about cardiovascular effects, but that's been disputed. Pulmonary effects, but that's been disputed from smoking. So I have 80-year-olds who have smoked cannabis all their lives and don't have any issues, and then people who have smoked cannabis and have gotten lung cancer. So I wouldn't say that it's just from cannabis. I would just say that I don't know what it's doing.
They were probably predisposed to that within their family genealogically, Dr. T. But this is what I'm getting at with this study, okay? Because if cannabis, as far as flower as a smokable form, was a pharmaceutical drug, okay, the commercials for it at the end of it would read similar to this line right here. It says, "No serious adverse effects occurred with the use of this product, and mild side effects such as dry mouth and euphoria were reported in about 15% of users, mostly during dose adjustments." And that is what the commercial would sound like if there was a commercial for cannabis at the end, like any of these other pharmaceutical ads that we see every day on the television.
Sounds like a good one. You should make one.
We should. I'm not opposed to that. Maybe we just will. Then we can send it over to the boss and have him post it on True Social. You know what I'm saying? Any thoughts on this, Jesse? This just proves smoking.
Does that mean Elon's the boss?
I wasn't. You're so silly, bro. You're so. He's trolling. He's
funny.
Cute.
That's really good.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
But I mean, I don't have an MD or a doctor on my name, so I can't speak with the kind of veracity that our other co-hosts or correspondents can. But I'm pretty well read on this subject, and we've brought this up before, that cannabis oils, even smoked, are very different in the body than a lot of things. So burning wood or burning tobacco or other kinds of tars and things that can be inhaled through burnt things and carcinogenic effects of those things. They're not the same as cannabis oil that is consumed by vaporizing or burning. So that's been shown scientifically over and over again. And Dr. C has said, well, it's not proven that these things are good or bad. There's a lot of evidence that seems to lean to the fact that smoking cannabis is a wildly different thing than almost anything else, and that the oils that go into your lungs and your pulmonary system are actually very useful and movable, even when they're decarboxylated and burned and combusted in that way. So I personally think that there's probably nothing wrong with smoking tons of weed as far as that goes. It seems that the evidence points that way, because your body just assimilates the oils and deals with them, and there's not a lot of tar buildup. And the tar that does come somehow kind of seems to ride along with those oils and be swept away. So there's been evidence that has shown that people have smoked tons of cannabis for years don't have any kind of buildup like someone who smokes cigarettes. So it's very different, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But again, I'm not a doctor.
Doctors don't know any better. You know as much as they do, and probably more.
I mean, in that sense, I am maybe more well read, but I'm not necessarily more educated than you two. And I know these things and I've seen these things, and I think one of the nice things of not having a DR or an MD in my name is I don't have to be afraid of saying anything. I don't have to be politically correct. I can just say, I think this is the thing. So.
Well, science never is 100%, especially in biology. So that's why people are always hedging their bet. Maybe, could be, the words we're using. But yeah, so science is good. It's a tool, but it's not 100%. Nothing's 100%.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Man.
And that's what makes you a good doctor, Dr. T, is that you can say that.
Any other final thoughts on this, Dr. Mark, before we move on?
No, we can move on. I think we covered it.
All right, fair enough. Look at this. Smoking weed is good for the soul, good for your body, good for pain, all of this great things. But, and on that, what else is good for the soul is Dr. Gene Talleyrand. He's the founder of the CESC and of Medican, where you can get your doctor's recommendation all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And not only that, but since all use is medical use, there's no need to not get your recommendation today. That's right, it is Dr. Gene Talleyrand.
Thanks, Jason. Happy Halloween and happy Friday. I love everybody's costume on today.
I'll tell you who I dressed up on the next commercial break.
So my story today is from Pain News Network. Middle-aged adults increasingly identify as cannabis consumers. This is by Pat Anson. Cannabis use continues to grow among older Americans, according to a new study that found nearly 1 in 5 middle-aged adults consumed cannabis within the past year. The study, by researchers at Columbia University, is based on data from the 2022 Health and Retirement Study, a nationwide survey of older adults. Researchers reported that 18.5% of adults aged 50 to 64 and 5.9% of adults over the age of 65 acknowledged using cannabis. The findings are consistent with previous studies that found rising percentages of middle-aged and older adults consuming cannabis products. Smoking was the primary way used, so that's great that you brought that smoking article up, to consume. About 25% of middle-aged adults and 20% of older adults said they use cannabis for medical purposes. Over 75% of the respondents in both age groups supported the medical use of cannabis, but researchers sounded a note of caution about its growing acceptance. Cannabis use among both middle-aged and older U.S. adults is higher than previously reported in state and national level studies, with many engaging in cannabis behaviors associated with increased harm. greater public health and clinical efforts are needed for tailored prevention and intervention strategies. These are the study researchers reporting in the American Journal of Preventive Medicine. While cannabis use is growing for therapeutic purposes, most medical organizations still frown on it. The American College of Physicians recently released a new guideline that recommends against the use of medical cannabis for most patients with chronic non-cancer pain. That was this past April. The ACP said that physicians should warn patients that the harms of cannabis use outweigh their potential benefits. Medical cannabis may produce small improvements in pain, function, and disability, but the ACP warns it could lead to addiction and cognitive issues, as well as cardiovascular, gastrointestinal, and pulmonary problems. A large study in the UK recently found the opposite, that cannabis use may actually benefit older adults by showing the aging of brains and improving cognitive function. Normal aging typically involves a gradual decline in cognitive abilities. When researchers compared the cognitive performance of cannabis users and non-users, they found that cannabis users had better cognitive function and had brain characteristics, quote, typically associated with younger brains. It is not surprising that a growing percentage of adults consider cannabis to be a viable option in their later years, said Paul Armentano, deputy director of NORML. Many middle-aged and older adults struggle with pain, anxiety, restless sleep, and other conditions that cannabis products can mitigate. Many older adults are also well aware of the litany of adverse side effects associated with available prescription drugs like opioids or sleep aids, and they see medical cannabis as practical and potentially safer alternative. A recent analysis found that medical cannabis is most effective for managing neuropathic pain, but doesn't work as well for migraine, headache, and acute pain. I have patients who would disagree with that. The report by Green Health Docs, a company that connects patients with licensed medical cannabis doctors, is based in part on a survey of 1,450 patients who use medical cannabis. The vast majority, 86% of those surveyed, reported moderate to significant pain improvement. Many patients were able to reduce or stop using opioids, which probably is not making the pharmaceutical companies happy. There continues to be, that was my statement, the last, there continues to be disagreement among physicians as to whether cannabis is beneficial for health or not. The ACP seems to feel that the risks deserve caution. However, there's an overwhelming and growing number of studies indicating that cannabis is good for your health, definitely better than other pain options. So why are the physicians recommending caution? Perhaps these are the same physicians that supported the Sackler family, and I don't know. It's clear that the pharmaceutical companies influence the medical profession. Last week, I attended the Society of Cannabis Clinicians annual conference in Denver and got reacquainted with a small but growing and dedicated group of physicians who believe cannabis works. No, there was not a pharmaceutical company on site. This is Dr. Jean Talleyrand with High at 9 News.
This is great news, and you know I'm a big believer in all of that, Dr. T. You know, I'm a big fan of cannabis as being a medicine, and you know, it's all use is medical use, and this is just more of that.
But you might run into a doc who will say the opposite. Oh, I recommend caution. I mean, the risks are greater than, you know, especially if you're older. There was a recent article in this Chronicle saying that cannabis is not good for older people. And I, wholeheartedly disagree, but
I've had doctors overdose me on pharmaceutical medicine and then actually take no accountability. So, you know, the doctors that want to be naysayers in regards to, I just, you know, once they tell me things like that, I just, in my mind, mentally, where they go, they get placed in a box that is labeled paid off by the pharmaceutical industry.
Yeah.
Bought and paid for. Yeah. You know.
Yeah, I think that's the highlight, is that it goes back to the incentive structure, right? There's an incentive structure for most doctors to oppose plant medicine because if plant medicine comes into effect, all of a sudden the pharmaceuticals that they peddle, that they make a lot of bonuses from, are removed from their paychecks, and that's not really something that they want. And not that it's nefarious. I don't think that doctors on the whole are out there trying to throw people under the bus to make money. I just think it's a natural effect of being trained that way and being taught to be that way. And then the incentive structure just kind of builds you into this system that it's really hard to get out of. And there's very few doctors like you, Dr. T, who are more interested in the truth and more interested in the patient and doing whatever it takes to give their patient results. And so you're not tied up in, I got to give you this pharmaceutical drug because, that's what I'm taught to do. You're looking at the body as a whole system, and that's unusual. So it goes back to, how do we change those incentive structures for doctors to think that way? Because I think if the incentive structures are there, then doctors are more likely to go, well, the body's a whole system and the endocannabinoid system is there, and what are we doing with the whole system? And sometimes things start with, I know that I had chronic back pain in my 20s and 30s, and the thing that got rid of it was working out and doing planks and strengthening myself. So, and then I realized, I was having pain because I was weak in areas, right? And so it could be as simple as that, and a doctor telling you, like, hey, this pain actually is a result of something, and there's a symptom happening, and let's dive in and figure out why. So
yeah, if your doctor is not recommending physical therapy with your pain, or some kind of, you don't have to do traditional physical therapy. You can do acupuncture. You can do Tai Chi. You can do all sorts of things to help. But if they're not recommending it and just giving you a pain pill, then move on to the next doctor.
That's right.
Tai Chi works really, really well, Dr. T. If you look in Asian cultures of a lot of these senior Asians that do Tai Chi their whole life, like, these guys are rock solid, like, as far as, you know what I mean? Like, man, yeah. You wouldn't want to get into a fight with one of those senior citizens. I'll tell you that right there.
I don't think they want to get into a fight with you either.
Yeah, they'll open up a can of whoop ass on you. You know what I mean? Dr. Mark, any thoughts on this, Dr. Mark?
Oh, just along the lines of everything that we've already discussed, which is that, yeah, the pharmaceutical companies are in kind of like an area where they need to be able to patent the medicine in order to get the return on their investment. I hate to talk like this when we're talking about people's health. But, there's a business aspect that they won't take. So we were talking before about the entourage effect, and this meeting that I went to in Boston last week, a lot of people were talking about that. And again, there's the both sides of that coin, right, Jean? There's developing new chemical entities that are inspired by the molecules in the plant, and then there's the notion of, well, why don't we just take the molecules in the plant and exploit this whole plant? So Dr. T, what he said earlier is that you don't prescribe individual compounds from the plant. I prescribe the whole plant. And so I think the notion there, again, there are some companies, again, who are exploring clinical applications of those, but, their investors aren't going to be that happy, because at the end of the day, after they've taken those things through clinical trials, they're just teaching the world of another thing that the cannabis plant and cannabis plant extracts and products can do. And so, yeah, there's the exclusive nature that the pharmaceutical companies have to have return on their investment when they spend hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars, to get things approved by the FDA. But then again, maybe we need a different mechanism to approve medicine, right, Jean? Have things that are like medicinal herbs like cannabis as being the frontline treatment before taking
Yeah, I think the new paradigm needs to be shifted from patenting the isolated chemical to patenting the process, which is going to be a major shift in the industry. But as we know, it used to be great to own penicillin or acetylsalicylic acid, but now everyone's producing it, so you're not making as much money from that individual chemical patent. And diseases have changed where there's resistance to antibiotics. And so it's not about I've got the one that works. It's about which combination of antibiotics can you put together that works best, and how does that process go? Maybe that process changes with your genetics. So anyway, cannabis is bringing into the future of medicine. I'm loving it.
Well, I just want to tie in there. I think there's a major framing thing happening here where right now, doctors make the most money based on how many people are sick. So the more people that are sick and need treatment and need medicine and need pharma, and the more scripts they can write and the more little treatments that they can do, the more money they make. And I don't know what this looks like, the other side, but the other side is that doctors make more money the more people are healthy. And I don't know how that works. It's a very weird, nebulous thing, because if no one's coming to see you, right? And that's the measure of your success, because your patients literally aren't coming to see you because they're healthy. How do you make more money off of that? And that reframing of medicine and wellness and health, I feel like is something that we need in our society and in our culture, which is why I actually was excited about Robert F. Kennedy and the MAHA movement. I think there's an aspect of that that's going on both sides of the aisle, and that it's a political thing, and I think that's a great thing. So I want to see more of that in our culture, and I would like to see doctors somehow figure out how to make more money from seeing patients less. And I would like to see our society and our culture figure out how to reward doctors for that. And I think if that kind of thing happened, then again, you're changing the incentive structure and you're making it so that doctors go, oh, that's what I want to do because it benefits me. Right. So
interesting.
I don't know how to do that. I don't know. It's a very curious thing. And I would love to hear from doctors what they think is possible in that avenue.
Yeah, that's a whole other show. But there are ideas out there, from universal healthcare, but that changes the industry.
Well, it removes the whole idea of even like why patent anything. You see what I'm saying? Like if you reframed it that way, then you don't need a patent because you're not trying to extract money from people based on their disease and based on giving them a molecule to treat it, right?
You're pro free enterprise, Jesse. I know you are because I think I know how you lean.
Well, mostly I do agree with some regulation.
The free enterprise aspect of pharmaceutical industry is that it's a competitive landscape, and it's competitive at the billion-dollar level. So that those companies aren't necessarily going to put a bet if they don't know that they're going to get a return on that investment. Unfortunately, that's just the way medicine is. We need more doctors like Dr. T.
Right. Mm-hmm.
If there were more doctors like Dr. T, maybe this wouldn't be. Again, we reduce the stigma because now you're hearing from a board certified doctor that it's okay to take a cannabis extract for treatment XYZ. But maybe like how does medicinal herbs like cannabis fit into the modern pharmacopoeia, Jean? Like if you're going to do no harm, which is what the Hippocratic Oath states, well, then rather than giving that guy an opiate for their back pain, maybe a tincture or a topical, or there could be other ways that we can use cannabis and cannabis products that would supplement. I don't think pharmaceuticals are going away anytime soon, Jesse. And the bottom line is those companies are in it to make money because they know that if they find the right molecule and that molecule could, I don't know, cure cancer or diabetes or something like that, a molecule is going to make a lot of money. And they're in a competitive industry with other billion-dollar companies.
Mm-hmm.
But
so
there are companies out there. There are pharmaceutical companies doing what we're suggesting. They're using AI to come up with multi-agent approaches to personalize. They're out there. It's just like I said, it's the future. It's not the mainstream. The mainstream is exactly what you describe. And by the way, I am not the only physician doing this. There were a shout out to Dr. Patel in Southern California, Dr. Sulak, Dr. Goldstein, Dr. Malka, Hergen, rather, Sebastopol. There's a bunch of them.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Deb Kimless, Dustin Sulak. The folks who went. So there weren't pharmaceutical companies at that conference, John, but there were people like you, right, who use cannabis to treat patients and would rather use cannabis than prescribe an FDA-approved pharmaceutical.
Yes.
Interesting.
And that's what I'm saying, Dr. Mark, is everything you're stating is true. And in that free market economy where companies have the incentive to make money and these molecules are used to treat sickness and disease, that's that incentive structure that I'm talking about. And I don't see an incentive structure at all for those same companies to make money off of people just being healthy and not needing the molecule. That's a whole different, and that's so I would agree with you also in that free market of like, it feels like the market's actually not free. It's being limited to this one side. And there's no way for companies to figure out how to make money off of people not needing the molecule. And what if the same pharma company could somehow make money off of not selling you the molecule? That's the question that I don't think we have a good answer for, but it's clearly possible. Like, you clearly want, if somebody's doing their physical therapy, working out at the gym, eating really good food, using plant medicines for their mental health and their physical health and various other things, they don't maybe need any of these other molecules. And how do we reward doctors and pharma companies for that? I don't know that we have a way. I think it's like an open question, and it's something that if we could answer as a culture and a society, we'd be radically better off.
Great discussion to have, Jesse. Yep. You're absolutely right.
And on that, we're going to roll into our next commercial, and we're going to be right back.
Every legend has a humble beginning.
In world news, leaders are gathering today for the annual summit.
I want to tell you something, Che. The government is watching us through the television.
Oh, John.
Look, right there. They're trying to hack into my TV box.
We're still not able to hack into the TV box, sir.
Ha! But they can't.
I've rebuilt the entire electronic system, and it sends and receives signals through quantum phase space. They'll never get in. Engage target.
In other news, local authorities are investigating a series of strange atmospheric phenomena reported by residents.
Ma'am, we're with the federal government. We need to ask you some questions.
John?
Is there a problem? We've been trying to penetrate your TV box for over 6 months.
I told you they were trying to watch us through the TV, but you didn't believe me.
We can't get in, and to be frank, we have no idea what you've created.
Yeah, that's the point. It's called privacy. You know what the Fourth Amendment guarantees?
All we know is that we can't get inside. We want to know if you can create one for us.
QUX. Even the government wants one.
Ah, yes, and we are back. Stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you smash that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it, and YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover on today's show, you can read directly on our website at www.high9news.com. And make sure you check out Monday's episode, because apparently there's some things happening in Washington, D.C. that are going to affect the cannabis industry in a very positive way, possibly today. And we shall see. We'll be reporting that on that all.
Inside info.
Just maybe, you never know. I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, but make sure you tune in on Monday's show to see all the things that happen.
Introducing QUX Pay, or simply the Pay app.
Where you can pay like it's nobody's business.
Because it isn't. It's what everyone's been clamoring for. It's finally here.
Secure every payment. Your data stays private. QUX will never sell your data for profit, period. Pay friends, family, contacts instantly. No hidden fees. No limits. Spend on the move.
With this patented technology, you can use debit, credit, bank transfers, cash cards, and even crypto completely offline.
Amounts transferred through the Pay app reach their destination instantly. Transfers in a flash. As quick as sending a text. No more waiting around like crypto. Are you ready for the future of payments? The state of the art for money is finally here.
Data privacy and security protocols trusted by militaries and banks worldwide. QUX Pay, the Pay app.
Available as an app and point of sale system, personal and corporate accounts available. Go to QUXPay.com and start using the Pay app today.
Ah, yes, and we are back. And we are going to roll right into Dr. Mark Scialdone out in the great Green Mountain state of Vermont, right over there at St. Michael's University, the Archangel himself. It is none other than Dr. Mark Scialdone.
It's St. Michael's College. Get it right. We're not a university. We're just a small college.
You know, Vermont is the, you know.
Well, thank you, Jason, and happy Friday to everyone. Hope everyone's having a great week. It's Halloween, man. I mean, I think everyone's a kid on Halloween, right? Because we all remember going trick-or-treating as kids, and it's just kind of a magic time for kids, right? They get to go to neighbors' houses where normally they don't even know the people who live there, and they knock on the door, say trick-or-treat, and they get candy. How cool is that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, hope you're got some good plans. Rainy here in Vermont, but hopefully it's sunny where you are. And my story today comes from Sage Journals, and I think Dr. T is going to like this story. It's entitled "A Randomized Clinical Trial of Low-Dose Cannabis Extract in Alzheimer's Disease." And let me just read you a couple of the highlights from this paper. So the abstract reads, preclinical and clinical evidence suggests that low-dose cannabinoids could ameliorate Alzheimer's disease signs and symptoms. We designed this trial to evaluate the safety and efficacy of low-dose THC CBD balanced cannabinoid extract in the treatment of patients associated with Alzheimer's associated dementia. So I looked into this paper, and I being a chemist, of course, I'm interested in the chemistry of this extract. They say low dose THC CBD. They don't really go into any detail at all. They don't talk about, like last week we covered that crazy strain. Remember that strain? What was it? Mm-hmm. EKJ or something, la 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 la.
Oh yeah, MK Ultra.
Here they don't talk about the strain. They don't even talk about the potency of these extracts. They just say it's a low dose extract. So not a whole lot of details in this journal, fortunately. Yeah. So, I misspoke for a second. So, as I look at this again now, I see where they say for 26 weeks, the participants in this story received orally either placebo, right? So the placebo is there. See, does just getting medicine from somebody in a white coat that looks like Jean, is that enough to cure you? Or is it really the effectiveness of the medicine, right? So the THC CBD extract, so I'm seeing this for the first time now, is 0.35 milligrams of THC and only 0.245 milligrams of CBD. John, that's really low, right? I mean, that's, I would expect 0.35 milligrams THC in an extract.
0.35 milligrams or percent?
Yeah, what they're not telling us, I mean, they're not telling us
the dose.
How many? Okay, they're saying that for 26 weeks, orally, they received placebo or this extract daily. So,
once a day?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Once a day?
Yes, it just says daily. So it just, I would assume that that's only one time in a day. They're given an extract that has 0.35 milligrams. Is that right? 0.35 milligrams is 350 micrograms. That's exceedingly small. Right?
Yeah, most a joint delivers about 20 milligrams if you finish the joint. So 0.35 milligrams is a tiny dose.
Yeah. I mean, check my math. That's 2 orders of magnitude, right?
Yeah.
Right. So you're moving the decimal point two spots. So maybe in that respect, this is a significant study because this is indeed low dose. In fact, this is so low, it's almost no dose, right? Okay.
It's micro dose, micro.
Yeah, there you go. This, by definition, because it's 0.35 milligrams, this is a microdose, right? Because you're talking about 350 micrograms and 245 micrograms of CBD. Now, Dr. T, have you ever heard of such a low dose cannabis oil? I haven't, but you could just take a higher dose and just cut it with MCT oil, which I think is what the vehicle is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me read through this. So at week 26, so this is after 26 weeks of daily getting this low microdose of cannabis, mental mini state exam total scores was significantly higher in the cannabis samples compared to placebo-treated patients, which was assessed using something called a mixed model analysis. I'm not really too familiar with that is. No significant difference was detected between placebo and the cannabis groups in terms of secondary outcome or adverse events incidents. I guess that's good, right? Because what they're saying is that whether you got the placebo or whether you got the low dose, there were no adverse effects. So the conclusions, to this date, this is the longest clinical trial evaluating cannabinoids effects on Alzheimer's patients. We initially demonstrated low-dose THC CBD potentially can be effective and safe therapeutic option for Alzheimer's related dementia. Nonetheless, larger and longer trials are necessary to confirm this finding and to establish cannabinoid administration therapy that's effective for Alzheimer's related dementia. This study was done down in Brazil, right? I think we've talked about Brazil before on the show because Brazil is where Carlini first found that CBD had this effect on reducing seizures in difficult to treat forms of epilepsy. So I think, Brazil is certainly one of those countries, right, John, that has actually embraced, well, they're in the jungle. Why not embrace jungle medicine, natural medicine from the jungle, basically treat these kinds of conditions? I wanted to read one other thing on the end here, which I thought was pretty interesting. So they're just talking about the results from this study. And I'm not really too familiar with this mental state examination, but you can clearly see the people who got placebo were on the kind of decline, and the people who got cannabis were kind of on the incline. So there's definitely an effect, what we call a therapeutic effect has been demonstrated by this study. And what they said here is, scrolling down, in this trial, we report the administration of very low doses of cannabis extracts to Alzheimer's patients, resulting in significant alleviated cognitive loss over a 6-month period compared to the placebo group. These findings are preliminary but instrumental in opening up a promising avenue for the use of cannabinoids as potential therapeutic options for Alzheimer's-related dementia. Nevertheless, longer and larger multi-centered phase 2 and hopefully phase 3 trials are necessary to further establish the efficacy and safety of cannabis as a therapy for Alzheimer's-related dementia and perhaps other types of dementia. Dr. T, can you talk about that for a second? So if you have, a family member, and they're starting to be forgetful and they're starting to fall into that classic, symptom of, oh, this person's got dementia. They're forgetting their keys. They're forgetting appointments. So there's other types of dementia as opposed to Alzheimer's related dementia. That's what I've learned from reading this paper. Is cannabis effective at treating the symptom of dementia, which could be caused from Alzheimer's disease, but could be caused from other neurodegenerative disorders?
Well, there's evidence that it actually reduces the beta amyloid plaques. So, in Alzheimer's, you get this cell death, which creates these protein plaques that are seen on autopsy. You can't tell when the person's alive,
right?
But you can use things like the mini mental exam to note any change in cognitive abilities. What time of day it is, where are you, some really basic cognitive things, just to see if people are declining that way. There are 2 types of dementia. There's the Alzheimer's types, which may happen in earlier, but also happens in later populations too. And there's something called multi-infarct dementia, where you're getting like little mini strokes. And you sort of decline real quickly. You'll have like this, one day you're fine, next day you just don't know where you are, and that sort of happens in a stepwise decline. So anyway, the great paper. I think it's really cool that these microdoses, I'm curious what's in it. Maybe there's some terpenes in there that are affecting the outcome. And maybe it's not just the cannabinoids, but, cool to see that just a little touch every day is having an effect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't talk about the strain and they don't talk about how they extracted it. They just call it, low CBD and THC extract. So I take it it's just about a 1-to-1. There's a little more THC than CBD in there. But my gosh, if these are effective at this low dose of 0.35, so 350 micrograms a day, damn, right? I mean, yeah. I'm surprised that it's such a low dose that they're this active.
Me too. Makes me wonder what else is going on. But that's the beauty of entourage, right? Or synergy. It's the beauty of that. Is like, wow, this, if it was just THC, maybe it wouldn't be as effective. I don't know.
Well, I don't know because based off of my second story today, you know what I mean? I'm not too sure. They were smoking 20% and they were getting amazing results, you know what I mean? 90% drop in opioid consumption, you guys. I mean, come on. Those numbers, just you can't argue with those types of numbers, and those numbers don't just they don't just publish those types of numbers, all right, for the sake of publishing the numbers to make people sound good and feel good.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who work in that addiction field who think that there is just no replacing opiates with cannabinoids. I've talked to a few people who work in this. I'm like, well, hey, don't you think we could just, get the person stoned and then that, high that they get from THC would replace, in a way, kind of like the dopamine award that you get from, being addicted to opiates.
Mm-hmm.
And John, the pushback that I got back from, basically doctors who work in the field of addiction are like, no way. There's no way, cannabinoids can completely be a replacement therapy for opioids. You're dreaming, pal. And they're all pushed Suboxone and naltrexone, all this other. You're replacing one opiate with another opiate.
Yep.
They've done that for years. Yeah, but they're not in the community. They're not speaking to the people who are actually doing that. And people have been replacing their opiate addictions for years. Not everyone, but a significant number of people have stopped using opiates and changed from cannabis. So I'd say go walk through the neighborhood and talk to people rather than sitting there on your tower.
Black market trapper who wants to sell dabs outside of the opiate clinic, right? Like, hey, don't go in there for that. Come here for the.
It's a different mechanism of action, right? But there's and you would appreciate this. There's dimerization, and like you say, there's a dopamine reward. So what works is exciting, biochemistry.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, this is a fascinating story. Thank you so much for this, Dr. Mark. We're going to roll into our final commercial, and we are going to be right back.
I just ordered the summertime strawberry salad when added steak on top here at Anna's. Make sure you do the same thing too next time you're in downtown Long Beach. Come on down and check out Anna's joint on the 400 block of Pine Street. They have amazing selection of beers, foods, and when you come down here to Anna's, you can even challenge me to a game of shuffleboard if you want to lose. Did you get that? So, next time you're in downtown Long Beach on Pine Avenue, make sure you stop by Anna's Joint on the 400 block. Not only do they have Anna's Joint, this restaurant and bar, but they also have the amazing deli next door, and then next door to that they have a very exotic flower shop. You may want to stop by and say hi.
Looking at Alzheimer's.
Oh, yes. And we are back, you guys. And we are going to roll right in to Mr. Jesse Barney. Jesse, he's the founder of Barney Design Co., and he can talk to your brand and listen to what your brand is saying when most people have no clue at all themselves. And he can tell you exactly who you're talking to with your brand, who your brand is actually trying to reach, and how you need to change your whole branding if you want to reach your actual target audience. That's right, it is none other than Dr. Jesse Barney.
I got an honorary doctorate from Jason. All right, let's go. Right on. I have had friends call me Dr. Barney, which is really funny, but for wildly different reasons back in the day.
It's those handlebars.
Today I went down the psychedelic road. I couldn't find any stories that really piqued my interest in the cannabis world, so I went and looked in the psychedelics world, and I found a study that was published today that came out of translational psychiatry and was published in Nature. So hopefully this really opens some doors, especially for you, Dr. Mark. I think you'll find this interesting. This is right up your alley. And also you, Dr. T. So the title of the study and article is this: Psychedelics and ketamine, esketamine in depressive disorders, biological mechanisms and associated neuroimaging and clinical changes. Over the past 10 years, and I'm just going to read the abstract, I should say this. It's a very long paper. It would take me way too long to read it. So I'm just going to read the abstract, and then we can kind of dive into it a little bit. Especially, Dr. Mark, you might be able to unpack some of these things a little more than me. Over the past 10 years, several psychedelic compounds, including tryptamines like LSD, psilocybin, ayahuasca, and DMT, have been tested in clinical trials for a range of psychiatric conditions, such as anxiety and depression. While these compounds are relatively available for treatment, ketamine and its enantiomer, esketamine, esketamine are...
Enantiomers are non-superimposable mirror images, right? Yeah.
Okay. That's all good. Esketamine are increasingly used to manage treatment-resistant depression. The biological mechanisms set in motion by these compounds are still largely unexplored. Preliminary data indicate modulatory activity of distinct brain networks and selected neurotransmitter pathways, i.e. glutamate and serotonin. And I think that's supposed to be an EG, not an IE. That's my typographic nerd coming out. This systematic review investigates functional changes in neural activity generated by these compounds, i.e. LSD, psilocybin, ayahuasca, and DMT, or ketamine, esketamine, in depressive disorders. Studies involving different techniques like positron emission tomography, single photon emission computed tomography, or PET and SPECT, functional magnetic resonance imaging, which we know as MRI, were included. A literature search was conducted following preferred reporting systems for systematic reviews and meta-analysis PRISMA guidelines of 2015. The search was performed using PubMed, Web of Science, and Scopus databases, taking into consideration publications up to March 2022 without any time restrictions. Results. The search produced a final set of 49 articles. Most were related to ketamine and esketamine. The number is 44. A smaller number, 5 articles, pertained to psychedelic tryptamines, 1 on ayahuasca and 4 on psilocybin. From the total of 49 studies, 9 were randomized controlled trials, 25 were open label studies, 4 were double-blind trials, and 8 were observational studies, and 3 were crossover studies. Here's the conclusions. Psilocybin seems to reset the default mode network, DMN, activity, thereby reducing depressive symptoms with a long-term and sustainable antidepressant efficacy. Compared to psychedelics, ketamine exhibits a more specific action on networks involving the prefrontal areas that act directly on the DMN. This effect may help ketamine's anti-hedonic activity. And I had to look up anhedonic because I was like, what is that? And anti-anhedonic means it actually promotes joy, so or pleasure. So anhedonic activity is what happens when you're getting depressed or having anxiety. You're losing the function of joy or feelings of peace or pleasure, and so ketamine actually has an anti-anhedonic activity, which means it restores those feelings and those abilities in your brain. Okay. So this effect may help ketamine's anti-anhedonic activity and its critical role in increasing cognitive control over emotional stimuli, thus reducing negative mood stages. So this is a cool paper on the fact that they're compiling a whole bunch of other studies, and there was 9 or 10 authors on this paper, so there was a lot, and they all had Italian names, so I assume this is out of Italy. But they compiled this and really looked at it together, and they're seeing that these psychedelics and ketamine, which isn't truly a psychedelic, but they're acting on the DMN, and what they're doing is they're helping the brain basically reset, and this is what I'm getting from it, from my layperson's interpretation, but they're helping the brain reset and then restoring the ability to actually, for the neural pathways to create joy and pleasure on its own. So really, really cool. And this just comes on a long tail of cannabis doing this and psychedelics doing this, and that these treatments can actually do a lot for our brains and better our lives. So I'll toss it over to the doctors because they probably see stuff in here that I don't necessarily see. So there you go.
It's because of that mirror polarity, Jesse.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
Doctors?
You're good with all the terms, buddy. Yeah, so in esketamine, it's called ES ketamine, but it actually is abbreviation for the letter S, because when you have those two mirror images, which are called enantiomers. We know this from thalidomide, right, Jean? That one of the enantiomers, they gave the mixture to moms that had morning sickness, and one of the enantiomers caused birth defects, right? So the body is a chiral environment, meaning that it could discriminate from the left-handed molecule versus the right-handed molecule. So esketamine is the left-handed molecule. R-ketamine would be the right-handed molecule, right? So
I only know those compounds experientially, that they're very different.
They are because they're interacting with a chiral environment in the body. So you would, imagine if the receptor is the right-handed baseball mitt, right? So your right hand could fit into that receptor, but if you tried to fit in there with the left hand, guess what?
It doesn't fit. It's because your thumb.
And they're hitting different receptors anyway. Ketamine hits the NMDA receptor, which is the glutamate receptor. It sort of gives an excitatory response as opposed to GABA. And psilocybin or LSD hits the 5-HT2A receptor, which is believed to be the psychedelic receptor. So ketamine gives you this more disassociative K-hole, as people
they call it. Yeah, the K-hole.
Yeah, while LSD and psilocybin will give you more of the trip.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. The K-hole.
It's funny. The docs at the conference, that we had a lot of presentations on psychedelics. I was surprised. Even Dr. Sisley, she's studying mushrooms, and she's getting those FDA approved for veterans. So we've sort of transitioned. Except for Dr. Sisley, a lot of the people studying psychedelics don't really know much about cannabis, and vice versa. But it was interesting. They were all there at the conference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, I think this comes to. Go ahead.
We see a merging of these two things, right? The entheogens and the cannabinoids. It seems like there's a lot of convergence there, right, Jean?
Well, the THC doesn't really have affinity for the 5-H2A, but the CB1 receptor and the 5-HT2A receptor hang out together in dimers. So they are interplay there for sure.
We're bros.
Mm-hmm. Well, interesting. Well, I have a great story for you guys coming up. It just wouldn't be Halloween, you know what I mean, at High at Nine News without, a proper gaslighting tale of Halloween, candy, and whatnot. So I'm gonna roll into our final story of the day, you guys. Happy Halloween, because there was some teens who ended up in the hospital after they made up a story of a masked man giving them marijuana gummies. You guys, that's right. In Kittening, that's in Pennsylvania, you guys, police posted a public alert that they were looking for a masked man who gave marijuana gummies to young teenagers and who became violently ill. The kids were taken to UPMC Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh, where they remained in critical condition as of 4:30 p.m. on Thursday. However, the kids made up the story when surveillance video surfaced of them smoking marijuana. Kittening's police chief says another kid in the group who was not sick said they made up the story to keep from getting in trouble after they got sick. Police will investigate who gave the young teens the marijuana and pursue charges. And I think we have a video to play on this. Do we have the video queued up? Let's go to this video and watch this, you guys.
Kittanning police posted a public alert that they're looking for a masked man who gave marijuana gummies to young teenagers who became violently ill. Well, police have...
Fade to black.
Yeah.
They got bad weed too. That they were sick and critical condition. That's really rare.
I'm thinking this is total, gaslighter. You know what I mean? So I guess I don't know. Not sure if we're able to play the video or not. But The video was pretty good. The video was pretty entertaining.
So where was their camera looking at them smoking?
I'm guessing that this was probably, if I was to guess, that they probably got caught from their Ring camera. You know what I mean? They were probably sitting on the front patio. You know what I mean?
Oh.
You know, I don't know. It didn't say, and in the video, it doesn't say either. You know what I mean?
I think you got to read between the lines on this story. What is wrong with the cops?
Catania police posted a public alert that they're looking for a masked man who gave marijuana gummies to young teenagers who became violently ill. Well, police have now retracted that post.
A bit of disbelief.
See, that's crazy.
Maybe
Yeah,
not. I don't know.
The teens are like, a masked
Catania
man.
police posted a public alert that they're looking for a masked man who gave marijuana gummies to young teenagers who became violently ill. Well, police have now retracted that post.
Oh well.
And then the reporters were like, "Oh yeah, there's nothing wrong here." That's the read between
whatever
the
you
lines
did, Gabriel.
story.
Whatever you did, Gabriel, it's not working. And let's see, maybe
It's okay. Just pass over
We're
it.
trying to.
It's not that
Man, I
important.
really wanted to play it, bro. It's pretty.
Catania
Oh,
police
here we go.
posted a public alert that they're looking for a masked man who gave marijuana gummies to young teenagers who became violently ill. Well, police have now retracted that
Pittsburgh,
post.
right?
Bit of disbelief that
Pennsylvania.
somebody would make something like this up.
In Pennsylvania. Yep.
Kids, you know,
but we're not
didn't wanna
getting
get in
any
trouble, I
audio
guess,
from the
and made up
video
story
yet, you
of a
guys.
masked
But
man that gave them gummies.
Catania police say the kids made up the story because they were actually caught smoking marijuana. Two of them are in intensive care at Children's Hospital. Their relatives say they're heavily sedated from the high concentration of marijuana.
No, they never has. That's why I was asking if we could be able to do it. But, you know,
attention
it's
now
all right.
turns
He's doing a great job. 15 years old and crushing it.
Oh, and we want to make sure. Oh, hold on 1 second, Dr. T. We want to make sure that we wish Parker a very happy 14th birthday today. He was born on 11/1/11.
And tonight, relatives of the
That
two
is
teenagers
going
say
to be
they will remain here
tomorrow
at
at
Children's
1:11
Hospital,
p.m.
where
He's
at
a
least 2
special
days,
guy,
covering
and he's in
Allegheny
Toronto
County,
with his dad and
Pittsburgh,
brother. And
Sheldon
thank you,
Ingram,
and
Pittsburgh's
happy
Action
Halloween,
News
and thank you, Miss Anna Lewis, for the super chat, and happy birthday, Parker. We hope you have a fantastic weekend.
Happy birthday, Parker.
Yeah.
That's a crazy date and time to be born.
Right? I guess he's number 1.
11/1/11 at 1:11. Jeez.
He's number 1, you guys.
He must be God's most special child.
Dia de los Muertos.
Yeah. Man. Well, you know, these kids, they wanted to blame it on some masked man that they got caught smoking. And they tried to say that he gave them candies, and then they end up going to the hospital in critical condition. And in the story, they're talking about, the kids are going to be there for a couple days while they're in the hospital and whatnot. And I'm just like, who in the hell goes to the hospital for 2 days because of whatever? And this just makes me, that same saying, Jesse. I don't know if you've heard me say it, but I've been saying it on a few other days. It's like, but did you die?
No, probably not.
None of these people die.
Sounds like these were edibles, right?
Well, Jason, while you were trying to get the video to load, I think there's a huge read between the lines here. Mm-hmm. First of all, how did the cops even believe that story? Because that makes zero sense that a masked man would come and give children gummies and that they would take them. That makes zero sense. Nobody would do that. No child would be like, oh, a masked man gave me candy, I'm going to eat it. That already doesn't make sense.
Yep.
Then what you just said, the fact that they're so sick, that doesn't make sense. That's not a symptom of weed ever.
They must have got some bad weed.
How do these cops have zero critical thinking skills?
Was it an N95 mask?
Oh, exactly, man, you guys. Exactly. Well, this is the thing is I think that's believable that a guy came up and gave him candy. I mean, it is Halloween, and so that is the time when they would say it. But I don't understand how it goes from they were smoking weed to all of a sudden them blaming this on he gave us some candy, and it was weed laced candy, which is just total ridiculousness to me. But the cops apparently are going to be going and trying to figure out who gave
gave and or sold the kids this marijuana, and then we'll be listening to the theme song from Cops. Bad boys,
we already
bad
know
boys.
the answer. One of the kids got it from their parents.
Oh man, if that's the case, bro, that's gonna be. Oh, they're gonna take their kids away from them.
That's the most likely answer. I mean, that's. Where
I don't think
got
that's
all
the most
my
likely
weed
answer.
When I was a teenager.
I don't think that's the most likely answer. I think they probably got it from one of their
100%.
friends at school.
And where did they get it from?
Well, it's not about where they got it from. We're only trying to go to one step, not two steps, Jesse.
Well, so it's still the most likely scenario is that it came from a parent through a child of some kind.
I mean, at the same time, it grew in some pot, in some room, somewhere, someone's backyard, somewhere. So, like, are we going to go and arrest the dirtbag too?
Here's what happened. Some parent drove to New York, went into a dispensary, bought an ounce of weed, brought it home. One of the kids stole it, and they all smoked it and got high. And that's the most likely scenario.
They have dispensaries in
here.
Pennsylvania.
Huh?
They got medical in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, they got dispensaries.
Yeah, okay.
Not accessible to everyone.
You don't think they just drove to Michigan? Weed's cheaper in Michigan.
That's way further away.
It's a little road trip.
Pittsburgh to Michigan or Pittsburgh to New York?
I've never done either of the drives.
Closer?
So I've never done either of the drives. So, that's a Dr. Mark question.
Yeah. New York's way closer.
So they walked into a bodega.
Yeah,
and walked out with a bag.
The parents got weed from somewhere, and they've got it in their top drawer under their fucking underwear, and the kid knows and stole it. And even if it wasn't one of these kids, it was one of their friends. That's the most likely.
I think it was one of their friends.
That's where most kids get their weed.
I think it was definitely from one of their friends.
Yeah, well,
I recommend parents show them where your stash is, explain them what it's for, demystify it so that they don't go sneaking around behind your back.
Yep. Yeah, fair enough, man. Fair enough. Well,
yeah, exactly.
It's a classic Halloween tale, you guys. I thought this was pretty fun.
Still, I think the police need some critical thinking skills here. They're just buying whatever story the teenagers give them. That's kind of crazy.
I don't know. Well, hopefully they can put that video on our website onto the story, and you know what I'm saying. And people can head over to our website if they want to watch it because it is super.
It's the video that's at the top of the article, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the video that I'm talking about.
So you just open the article and
I want them to put it on our website, Jesse, not go to them to go see it. They're supposed to just go to High at Night News to see it.
Embed the video?
Yes, correct.
Well, if it's on YouTube, you can, but not if it's just posted directly in there.
That's a whole production question that we'll talk about after the show. But you guys all have a fantastic day. Happy Halloween, everybody. And thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. And big shout out to our audience and supporters for tuning in daily and listening to the insanity that is the developing cannabis industry. Huge thank you to Catalyst Cannabis for helping us keep the lights on over here. And thank you to our correspondents for being absolutely amazing. Thank you to Cannabis Sativa L for giving us a reason to do this every day. And thank you to Cloud Media partners Elias and Gabriel somewhere in the metaverse. And thank you all for tuning in and getting high at 9 with us. We are America's #1 daily cannabis news show.